Imagine I try to arrange to have a meeting with you, and this specific meeting is set for Thursday. And then on Wednesday, I say, sorry, I can't make it this Thursday. Let's postpone the meeting to next week Thursday. And next week Thursday, I do the same. And I continue doing the same until infinity has been reached, until such time as every single Wednesday I postpone the meeting. Now, you might at some point say, I'm not going to bother. The meeting will never actually happen. And let's assume it never does. But every Wednesday until the end of time, I postpone the meeting to the next Thursday. You can probably safely assume that if that's the case, the meeting will not happen. Now, I've discussed the beginning of the universe quite a few times before, and I do think it's important enough simply to recap the main concern there, which is that for there to be a cause of every effect, that cannot be the case for the first cause. If you go back to infinity, to the very beginning of time and space, that which causes that first cause cannot itself be an effect of something else, or by logical inference it is not the first cause. So the first cause of all things must be without a cause itself. And we have the idea in our modern world of the Big Bang, this idea that a single event brought about the whole universe. But even if you had multiple events bringing about the whole universe, they themselves, if you track them back, must go to an event which is first in time, an event which is first in existence. And that event, which causes all other things to come about, whether it's gravity causing a Big Bang or anything else, that first event cannot have a cause before it. But let's look before the Big Bang. Let's look at the very beginning of reality, that in which the Big Bang takes place. Not time and space, but reality itself. Now, reality must start at some point, and yet we know that reality can't simply come into being. It must have always been, which means that reality, its starting point must be infinity. It must have always been. But if reality has always been, then the space between reality existing and the first event, this Big Bang, this invention of time coming into being, must by definition be infinite. And the amount of time between that first event, the Big Bang, and the end, which is not an end of reality, must itself also be infinite. The potential in which the universe exists must have always existed and must always exist going forward, even as the universe itself goes entirely dark and stops and ceases to exist. Now, this reality we're talking about is something which has a specific type of state to it, because if we're talking about this reality being something in which cause and effect works, then you need to have some sort of cause of the first cause. You need to have something which works together to cause that first cause to come into being. But the start of that, at each time when you look at it, if we're talking about an infinite sort of existence, must go further back and further back and further back until such time as the creation of the universe must be pushed back so many times that it doesn't actually happen. For the universe to come into being, whatever causes it to come into being cannot be governed by time, cannot be governed by cause and effect. It must be governed by something else. If that something else, after an infinite amount of time, decides to suddenly create a Big Bang, decides to suddenly create a first step in the dominoes of time and cause and effect. And that specific thing must therefore not be a physical thing. It must therefore not be a part of the universe. And you might say, okay, then it's part of a different universe, but then you have to apply the same rules. That which creates the universe must be what we might call spiritual. It must be a mind. It must be something which, for infinity, decided I'm not going to create, and then in the blink of an eye decided I will create, had the entire universe play out before it, and continued for infinity after that. You're talking about something which is a mind in that sense, because that which causes that first cause cannot simply be something which is a mechanical thing, because that mechanical thing must always be pushed back further and further and further until such time as that meeting never happens. Let me know what you think of my argument, and I'd be interested to debate it further. Thank you.